They say curiosity killed the cat, but what they don't tell you is that it built everything else. Hi, I'm Shiv, and honestly, I've spent most of my life trying to ask the kind of question that makes people go, wait, are you serious? But that's the fun part, isn't it? Because when we think of alchemists, we think about strange men in smoky rooms trying to turn lead into gold. But maybe they were not trying to chase gold after all. What they were trying to chase was something I call the impossible. And I get that, honestly. I'm not in a lab coat, I don't have a wand myself, but I've just spent years trying to chase the kind of question that sounded absurd until it wasn't. Because if you think about it, every single breakthrough the humanity has ever made once sounded impossible. Flying, electricity, democracy, the internet. So I believe somewhere between logic and lunacy, someone chose to try anyway. So my personal question to you is, why not you? To me, alchemy isn't just about transformation. It's about belief before proof. It's about the daring to say maybe when the world insists never. As I often say, sometimes the opposite of a good idea can be a good idea. Because logic describes the world, but alchemy changes it. Logic, it's neat, it's predictable, it's safe, but alchemy, on the other hand, it's unpredictable, it's messy, it's super cliche, and yet it's absolutely beautiful. Logic builds bridges, and alchemy builds revolutions. Every project I've built started with one impossible, slightly stupid question because logic asks, what is, and alchemy asks, what if? And honestly, it's this what if that has gotten me into a lot of trouble lately. However, it is this what if that has also gotten me everywhere I am today. During my internship at a construction site, I watched a worker fall while changing something as simple as a light fixture. Trust me, folks, witnessing something as tragic as that is truly devastating. Logic said, use safer ladders, better scaffolds, and that's it. But that's what they had been saying for decades. So I asked the stupid question, what if workers never had to climb at all? That one question became the ModularArm Pole, or the MAP, a telescopic counterweighted mechanism that brings the light fixture down to the ground level, eliminating the need for any worker to climb up to risk their life for something as simple as a light fixture. We designed it using lightweight aluminum alloy and fiber reinforced polymer, and certainly we did fail 14 times before the actual prototype came out to be successful. It wasn't perfect at first, it jammed, it bent, even collapsed on me for once. But after dozens of prototype and feedback from real workers, I made it work. Today, the ModularArm Pole has made a sales of over 8 lakhs, but trust me, it is not the sales that appeals me. It was when a construction worker looked at me and said, "Sir, this pole feels like my insurance policy. I go home every single night and sleep in peace." That hit me. Because innovation isn't born from logic, it's born from discomfort. That's what I realized, that impossible isn't a wall, it's a compass. The moment you think this can't be done, you're standing right at front of doing something extraordinary. Later, I saw these same construction workers living in leaky tents with no sanitation, no safety, no privacy. Logic said, too big a problem, too many people. Alchemy whispered, try anyway. That's how I built Project WAVE. We designed modular shelter systems, a system of modular shelters that can be assembled in under 45 minutes. Alongside deploying portable sanitation and menstrual hygiene facilities, we partnered with local NGOs, non-profits, municipalities, private contractors, spread across 3 different countries. In just 6 months, we managed to fundraise a figure exceeding 12 lakhs. Our data later showed 74% lesser displacement and 46% lower disease incidence. But keep the data aside for a moment. One worker told me something I'll never forget that appealed deep down to my conscience. For the first time, I go home safe every single night and my family doesn't worry about me when it rains. That's when it clicked me that sometimes the grandest revolutions aren't born in the realms of a boardroom, but in the small acts of dignity. As I often say, the problem with logic is that it kills the magic, and through Project WAVE, I learned that magic isn't irrational at all, but it's deeply human. You can't graph it on a piece of paper, you can only feel it within yourself. Now, when I was 13, I pitched a mental wellness platform named BVocal. Everyone laughed, too young, too naive. Logic said, people craved identity online, but I felt the opposite held true. People crave anonymity. So I built a platform where users can share, heal, and connect without any names, without any tags, without any judgment, without any strings attached. We used natural language models in order to detect emotional distress online and peer-based feedback loops in order to moderate conversations ethically. And result, in weeks, over 1,000 people joined, investors noticed, and I ended up raising 55 lakhs for 5% equity from a venture capital firm in Bangalore, giving my startup a valuation of over 10 crores. Now that is the magic of the impossible. It doesn't wait for belief, but it creates it. The moment and truly innovative ideas never start with certainty. What they start with is curiosity. Curiosity that is strong enough to survive any sort of laughter, any sort of mockery. I always remind myself, again, the human mind doesn't run on logic at all. It runs on magic, symbols, and stories, and that's exactly what BVocal became. A place where silence turned into voice and doubt turned into belonging. When I turn to the oceans now, logic divided the problem. Renewable energy or waste cleanup. Alchemy asked, why not both? That question led to the autonomous ocean pods, self-sustaining units powered by tidal energy and solar microcells designed to collect surface plastic and chemical waste while generating clean energy. In Tamil Nadu, our pilot recorded measurable energy output about 28 watts per pod and reduced the visible water waste density by over 60%. But the real moment wasn't in the data again at all. It was standing on that shore, seeing the sea breathe a little cleaner. Trust me, folks, that felt surreal, and I thought to myself, maybe that's what innovation really is. Not a giant leap, just changing the world by one impossible ounce at a time. From MAP to Project WAVE, from BVocal to ocean pods, every single time, the pattern has always been the same. Each time, logic said it couldn't be done, and alchemy said maybe that's why it should be. Because logic is the language of what already works, and alchemy is the courage to imagine what could be. And here's what I have learned. It was never about turning lead into gold. It was always about turning fear into safety, neglect into dignity, silence into voice, and waste into hope. It's about the courage to ask the foolish question, the humility to start without knowing the answer, and the faith to keep on going even when the data says stop. Logic takes us where others have gone, and alchemy takes us where no one has ever dared to. So if there's one invitation I'd like to propose, it's this. Dare to chase the impossible, because in that chase between logic and wonder, between proof and belief, is where the true alchemy happens. And towards the end, here's the wildest thought I've ever had about alchemy. What if we've had it backwards all along? What if it was never about turning lead into gold, but it was always lead in the first place, dreaming it was gold? What if reality in itself is just a grand experiment, trying to see how far the universe, our mind, our consciousness can bend physics until it actually snaps? Maybe every impossible idea isn't what we create. Maybe it's something that creates us using our mind and our curiosity as its scientific lab. Because think about it. The atoms in your body were once forged as a part of a collapsing star. You are literally a part of cosmic debris, a stardust that learned how to dream. So the next time you dare to chase the impossible, you are not defying the nature at all. You are, in fact, fulfilling it. Maybe you are just an idea the universe is currently testing, a thought wrapped in skin, wondering what would happen if stars themselves learned to ask the question, why? Thank you.